Why We Like Birdsong. I recently read that humans like the sound of birdsong because it makes us feel safe. It lets us know there is no danger. And my immediate response was, oh, for fuck's sake. I know, it seems like a disproportionate and unlikely response to a simple scientific fact about lovely birdsong, but I can explain. I know there are probably other scientific studies about this subject, but it is not so much the science per se, but the underlying hum, the undercurrent of our time, permeating our perception of everything from health to education and apparently birdsong. It is a paradigm of fear, and it infuses our lives in such a subtle way we don't even realise it. I can hear it everywhere, and my body has a visceral sense of it, which is why I had such an unnecessary response to the simple idea about birdsong. Part of it is because I'm tired, weary. I have spent most of my life being afraid of something. There were times when my own shadow could have scared the bejesus out of me. As I have made sense and resolved some of this within myself, I can see and hear it so clearly, everywhere. A few years ago, I had to visit my son's high school to have a conversation with a head teacher. As she led me to her office, I was astounded. There were posters everywhere with fear-inducing warnings. 1 punch can kill. 1 inch of water can kill. When we made it to her office, I said with my tongue in my cheek, "Are you secretly training assassins?" When I saw the confused look on her face, I smiled and said, "There are a lot of instructions on the walls on how to kill." I laughed to relieve the tension, and she joined in nervously. It was funny, but not. Imagine children being in an environment for most of their day with these messages being beamed into their psyche. Similarly, I remember visiting the opticians, having not been there for a while. Again, I was shocked. There were several posters about horrific things that could go wrong with my eyes and asking me to pay for tests to make sure I was ahead of the game in catching them. Where did all this come from? I felt really uncomfortable. I know that some would argue that it is wise to avail of such services and, in fact, progress to have them available. But I can't help but wonder if the fear-inducing suggestive messaging isn't a problem in itself. What comes to mind is the book The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. One story stands out. It's been a while since I read it, so the details may be a bit off, but it was something along the lines of a man being diagnosed with cancer and given 6 months to live. Surely enough, 6 months later, he died. And then they discovered he had been misdiagnosed. He didn't have cancer. I've wandered off the path a little, back to the background hum of fear, which seems to me to be getting louder. My sense is that we are becoming aware of it, and it feels like a very positive sign. I often like to compare the macro with the micro, the collective with the individual. When an individual begins to become aware of a pattern that is influencing their life, it can be uncomfortable. But it is also a sign that change is on the horizon, and they are equipped for it, challenging as it may be. We are on the precipice of healing. I feel it in my bones. But why would fear be the background or default from which we are operating? I imagine the consensus would be that the earth is a scary place and we have had to survive. Science probably would back this up. But then I wonder if the paradigm has influenced scientific inquiry, that our expectation affects the question, which affects the outcome. Also, it seems that at some point science became less about curiosity and more about proving something, especially when there was something to be gained from that proof. During COVID, the world went into lockdown on the advice of Neil Ferguson, a scientist from the Imperial College. Using his computer model, he asked the question, how do we flatten the curve? And the rest is history. What is less known is, at the same time, another scientist from Oxford University called Sunetra Gupta used her own methods to inquire if most of the population had already been exposed to COVID. The answer she came to was yes. And she, along with 2 other scientists, penned the Great Barrington Declaration, suggesting focused protection rather than widespread lockdowns. It didn't go down well. So science is infused with the level of integrity of those conducting and funding it. The answers it gives are as good as the questions being asked. And I can't help but think that sometimes the questions are led by this undercurrent, this fear, this idea that everything, including our own body, is dangerous and out to get us. This is not the case in the fringes, of course. There is some beautiful science becoming available. Did you know that quantum mechanics shows that a single molecule of water can be in 6 places at once? Let your mind ponder that for a bit. The human body is made mostly of water. Getting back to why fear might be the default. I'll ask you to take a conscious breath, settle into your body, and notice how what I say next feels to you. For me, this is the best way to get any way close to ascertaining what might be true in this noisy, contradictory, chaotic world. And I say might be true because I believe we don't consciously know yet. And like an individual who has experienced trauma, remembering is a delicate process. We are only in the past few years really allowing an idea to settle in. It has been talked of in stories and myths, but now it seems it may have been a real event. It is coming into consciousness that around 12,000 years ago there was a flood, a huge cataclysm that almost destroyed humanity. That is a huge trauma to experience. Imagine if an individual had experienced a trauma that intense. The only way to survive would be to block it out. But the background hum would be there, leading to hypervigilance and perhaps a worldview that was infused with fear. Author Barbara Hand-Clow says we are a multi-traumatized species, that we are waiting for the bad thing to happen, but it already did, and we haven't processed it. To me, this is lineage work. We are discerning a pattern that doesn't serve us or serve life anymore, and now we can work with it creatively. Lineage work can be challenging. This is why I help to create a living structure that supports and nourishes people as I help them move through their transformations. The timing of the journey is linked to the capacity to do the work, to hold what needs to be held, and see what needs to be seen. It is a deeply rewarding experience, a homecoming. I feel that collectively we are in a time when great healing is possible, and that we are truly capable of what is required of us. I am Nina Sophia. I help people discern unhelpful lineage patterns and work with them creatively for healing and transformation. It is not necessary to know the origin of the pattern. We start where we are. Visit ninasophia.me to find out more, to book a free clarity call and access some free resources. And if you join Sounds of Sophia as a paid subscriber on Substack, for £5 per month, you get access to live Zoom events with me at the solstices, equinoxes and cross quarters, along with weekly mini meditations that guide you to explore your inner world, get familiar with it, and begin to shape your reality to your liking. So I will close with some questions, and again I invite you to take a conscious breath, settle into your body and notice how you feel with these gentle inquiries. Could it be possible that there was a time when life was experienced as a gift to be embraced rather than something to just survive? Can life be trusted? How does birdsong make you feel? And why?